At Sierra, discover great deals on top brand workout gear, like high-quality walking shoes, which might lead to another discovery.
40,000 steps, baby. Who's on top now, Karen?
You've taken the office step challenge a step too far. Don't worry, though. Sierra also has yoga gear. It might be a good place to find your zen. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Knowing you could be saving money for the things you really want is a great feeling. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can choose to bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
This is Optimal Living Daily, Glory Days by Chris Guillebeau of chrisguillebeau.com, and I'm Justin Mall, your personal narrator. We're going to jump right into our next article as we optimize your life. Glory Days by Chris Guillebeau of chrisguillebeau.com. I sat in the back of the room as the keynote speaker talked about his experience as a war veteran. It was a good story for the first 5 minutes, filled with close calls, bonding with peers, and learning about the outside world. Then he kept going. He talked for 10, 15, nearly 20 minutes about the war before moving on to the subject he was supposed to speak about. The war in question, Vietnam, took place more than 30 years ago, yet to hear him talk, it was as if he had just returned from a tour in Iraq. He told the story as if it had all happened yesterday, and anyone listening could appreciate how the time in the war had made him into the person he was that day. But it also made me wonder, what has he been doing for the past 30 years? I looked around the room. The thing about speaking to a crowd of 200 people is that there are always going to be a few people who love everything you say. Aside from this small group that applauded every few minutes, I saw everyone else checking their phones, whispering to their neighbor, or reading through unrelated literature. For the most part, we had stopped paying attention. While our speaker was reliving a war from his youth, we had moved on to the present day. Back in the summer of '69. Here's another one. Have you ever been around a 50-year-old man who continually relives his high school football days? If you haven't, I can tell you that it's a sad experience. I've heard the stories over and over, but each year I make the ritualistic visit and end up hearing them again. So how are things going now? I ask after a while, trying to advance the conversation 35 years or so. Oh, fine. Then I hear more about the people he knew as a teenager, even though he hasn't been in contact with most of them for decades. It's not that I don't care, strictly speaking. If someone wants to relive their youth, good for them. I just think, is that all you've got? The danger of success. Glory days are dangerous, and while I wish I was immune, I know I'm not. When I came back from Africa in 2006, I made sure everyone knew where I'd been. If I met you that summer as I began my new life in Seattle, you'd hear about it within a few minutes of our introduction. Yeah, I knew the president of Liberia, and did I mention that Desmond Tutu and I had coffee together one afternoon in Cape Town? That's right, we split a blueberry muffin, and I made sure to give him the bigger half. It was my story and my identity. I felt deeply proud of those times. As the months wore on, though, I found myself continuing to talk about it with every new person I met. Naturally, some of them were interested and wanted to know more, but others, I think, probably cared more about their own life and with what was happening then, just as most of us do. The 4 years in West Africa remain an important part of my identity. Much of my formative thinking comes from that challenging and fulfilling experience. But I realized that in a lot of ways, I'd have to leave that time behind. I began to think about what I was doing next and my goals for the future. Am I going to be talking about West Africa to everyone I meet 30 years from now? If so, how will I be different from someone who's still reliving the Vietnam War or talking about his high school football team from 1969? In short, I'm going to need more than that. And to be honest, so are you. The best days of our lives. We all have foundational experiences that shape the rest of our lives and determine our worldview. For many of us, these times come from high school, college, or university, when we felt the most attached to our peers and to the outside world as we viewed it at the time. For others of us, the glory days come through an experience with a close-knit group, such as a military unit or a sports team. Still others find them from an extended trip abroad, the beginning of a new relationship, or a job we were especially enamored with at the time. We are rightly proud of our glory days because they represent a time of rapid discovery and advancement. Those were the best days of my life, we sometimes say. We were challenged and we rose to the challenge. When the time came to an end all too soon, we felt an unusual combination of accomplishment and sadness. But there comes another time, not too long after the glory days have ended, that we need to put them aside and move on to something else. If those life experiences were really so great, shouldn't they provide the motivation for greater challenges? What could the future be like if we applied the lessons we learned and went on to something else that was even better? If we believe that our best days are behind us, we've lowered expectations on our future. We've reached a plateau, and it's hard to grow after you've come down on the other side and look back on it from a long distance. Alternatively, when we choose to willingly let go of those times, we're not really saying farewell. We couldn't forget them if we tried. Instead, we say to ourselves, wow, wasn't that incredible? I am so fortunate to have had those experiences. Since my glory days were such a transformative experience, I'd better make sure I find a way to have more of them somehow. I'd better be faithful with everything I've been given. Life is good, and I want the future to be better than the past. You just listened to the post titled Glory Days by Chris Guillebeau of chrisguillebeau.com, and I'll be right back with my commentary. The show is sponsored by Liquid IV. Hydration isn't just about drinking more water, it's about helping your body absorb it. That's why I use Liquid IV, which uses a unique blend of allulose and amino acids to help your body retain essential electrolytes. I love the new raspberry lemonade flavor. It's sugar-free, easy to mix, and perfect for my long days in the studio. I just pour into 16 ounces of water and enjoy true-to-fruit flavor with none of the junk, no artificial sweeteners, and always non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, and soy-free. Whether you're working out, on the go, or just want to feel your best, Liquid IV is hydration that works harder. Break the mold and own your ritual. Just one stick and 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. Give yourself the power of extraordinary hydration from Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code OLD at checkout. That's 20% off your first order with code OLD at liquidiv.com. The origins of this podcast were once just a dream. That dream turned into the podcast and business you're listening to today. Starting your own business is a dream lots of us share, but too many of us let it remain just a dream. Don't hold yourself back thinking, what if I don't have the skills? What if I can't do it alone? Turn those what ifs into why nots with Shopify by your side. Shopify powers millions of businesses worldwide and handles 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from household names like Mattel to brands just getting started. Build campaigns that reach customers wherever they're scrolling. Plus, Shopify's expertise covers everything: inventory, shipping, returns, and beyond. If you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. Turn those dreams into and give them the best shot at success with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/old. Go to shopify.com/OLD. Shopify.com/old. Thank you to Chris. I wonder if minimalism ties in here, like with sentimental items. In high school and college, I'd hold on to a lot of stuff: old concert tickets, clothes, movie stubs. And I wonder now if it's because that's what tied me to who I was back then. But it ends up becoming clutter. Even if I see it now, I already know I went to that concert, or maybe I did forget. But if I did, I'm not sure the ticket or stub brings back particular memories for me. I'm not sure, but it definitely is hard to get rid of or to break us out of this glory days sort of thinking. And at the same time, it's not about erasing our past at all. He was arguing that we can use it as a sort of fuel to push us forward into what's next. I think that's a good point and something we can consider today, whether related to minimalism or not. Hopefully this one gave you some stuff to think about and maybe stuff to get rid of. So thank you again to Chris, and thank you for being here every day and learning along with me. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow as usual, where your optimal life awaits.